Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and this is the Samsung Galaxy S20 5G. This is the smallest phone offered this year out of the Samsung S20 lineup, and the least expensive, but it's not inexpensive. This comes in at $999 with 128 gigabytes of storage. That's the only option right now as far as storage is concerned. There may be some different ones later on. Now in the United States, it's only available in 3 colors. There are some other colors, and some are really nice. The red color I particularly like, but it's only available in 3 colors in the US: Cosmic Gray, Cloud Blue, and Cloud Pink. This is Cloud Blue. Now let's go ahead and unbox it. So we'll open it up here. And I've never seen one of these in person, so let's take this out. And it's definitely smaller than the Ultra. We'll take a look at the comparison in size a little bit later, but let me set this aside for now. We'll take a look at what's in the box. And I think in the top there's something here. So in the top of the box we have a SIM card removal tool, and sometimes in different countries you get different things with the phones that you purchase. So there's no case, and then you've just got a couple different pieces of information. The first one says this device is packaged with a screen protector. If you remove it and want to use a different one, make sure it allows for use of all touchscreen functions or features. And then you've got a quick reference guide and some other information like warranty. Now in the box we have a charger, and I believe this is a 25-watt charger. So it's a fast charger, but it's not the faster 45-watt, but there's really not too big of a difference between the two, I guess, from what I'm seeing online. And then we have our power cable, and this is USB-C to USB-C, so this is included. And then we should have AKG headphones, so basically the same amount of things you get with the S20 Ultra. So you'll see you've got AKG headphones, and it's USB-C here. So AKG and then some different ear tip sizes if you need those. Let me set this aside and we'll take a closer look at the phone. Now the phone overall looks pretty nice. The camera bump is pretty small compared to the other phones this year, and the frame is made of aluminum with a coating over it, and then you have glass front and back. Now on the right hand side of the phone you have your power sleep wake button along with a volume button. On the top of the phone, you have a microphone along with your SIM card tray and your micro SD card tray. We'll take a look at that in a moment. On the left side of the phone, we don't have anything at all. And then on the bottom, we have a speaker, we have USB-C, and then we have a microphone. There's no headphone jack this year, so that's kind of a disappointment for some people. Other people won't mind. Now, as far as a quick size comparison, well, last year, this is the S10e. So this gives you an idea. This phone is definitely bigger than the S10e. It actually feels a little bit thinner, but I'm not sure if that's accurate, but the camera bump makes it thicker. So the actual frame feels a little thinner. Then to compare it with the S10 or the S10 Plus from last year, gives you an idea. So it's a little bit smaller. It's in between the S10e and the S10 Plus. And then finally, to compare it with the 5G Ultra version, this has a case on it, but this gives you an idea of the size difference. So let me remove the case, and here is the Ultra next to the S20. And so the S20 Plus would be in between this size. So there's definitely a massive size difference. And there's actually a couple advantages to the S20 over the S20 Ultra. So let's go over the specs, and then we'll turn it on and set it up. Now internally, we have a Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 with an Adreno 650 GPU. This comes with 12 gigabytes of RAM and then allows for a micro SD up to 1 terabyte. It also supports Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth 5.0, along with 5G sub-6, but currently there's no millimeter wave. However, Samsung's website does say millimeter wave, so I'm not sure if it supports it, but at launch it currently doesn't. It's also got Gorilla Glass 6 front and back. It has a dynamic AMOLED 6.2-inch display, 3200 by 1440 pixels at 563 pixels per inch with a 20:9 ratio. It also supports 120 Hz and HDR10+, and that is the same pixel resolution that you get with the Ultra as well, just in a smaller phone. You have the under-the-screen fingerprint sensor we'll set up a little bit later, and then when it comes to the cameras, this is a little bit interesting when I was going over the specs. Now the forward-facing camera is 10 megapixels and still supports dual-pixel autofocus, unlike the Ultra. It also supports 4K video. On the back, we have 3 cameras. We have a 12 megapixel ultra-wide with an f2.2 aperture, then we have a 12 megapixel wide ultra-wide f1.8 that still has dual pixel autofocus, and then we have a 64 megapixel telephoto f2.0. They do support 8K video at 24 frames per second or 4K 60. You also have a depth vision camera. Now the phone comes with Android 10 with One UI 2, and then the battery is a very large 4000 milliamp hour battery. It supports fast wireless charging, 25 watt fast charging, and then it's IP68 certified for 1.5 meters for 30 minutes, dust and water resistance. Now let's go ahead and turn the phone on. So we'll hold down the power button, and there is a small, very thin screen protector pre-installed, so that's really nice. It's not super protective, but it will protect from major scratches and things like that. So let's wait for this to boot up here, and then we'll get it set up so we can take a look at the overall UI and the camera.
By guiding you. Let's look at the terms and conditions. Once you read and agree to these, we can really get going.
Now you can turn off the voice assistants if you want. Just tap the little speaker in the upper right.
Let's look at the terms and conditions.
And then we can accept the terms. We don't have to select the optional ones. And then we'll choose our Wi-Fi network. Now, one really nice feature that I noticed on the new phones this year is that the MAC address is randomized. And what that means is the actual hardware address, the physical hardware address that's assigned to every individual device around the world has a MAC address. But this one's randomized, so it makes it much more difficult to actually track if you wanted to try and figure out where it was. Now we'll check for updates. Now, along with the S20, you get a bunch of credits if you pre-ordered it. So you could get the Galaxy Buds Plus, or you could get a case, or you could get the watch. And so I picked the watch with this one. So I may do a separate video on that. Now we can copy our apps and data, and I'm not going to copy this time. Maybe I'll do it a little bit later. Now I'm going to skip signing into everything just so we can get to the home screen, like I said, but I can set this up a little bit later. So we'll just accept that, and now we'll set up our fingerprint. So you can use face recognition, but it's less secure on this phone since it's only 2D and not 3D. So let's go ahead and create a PIN. And that's never a good PIN, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll make it more secure a little bit later. And then it says adding finishing touches. And then we can sign into our Samsung account. Again, like I said, I'll skip this time and come back later. Now we'll go ahead and set up the fingerprint sensor. And this year it seems to be a little bit better than last year, although it just depends on the phone. But you actually have to press pretty hard this year when you're actually putting your finger down to get this to work properly. But I definitely find this fingerprint sensor to be better than last year's fingerprint sensor. I had a lot of issues setting up the S10 Plus, and I had issues all year long with it. And this one, so far with the Ultra anyway, I haven't had any issues, so it seems to be a lot better. Now we're at the home screen, and I actually had to set up the fingerprint sensor after I got to the home screen because it didn't bring me to that step, or maybe I didn't hit the right button. But either way, it's set up now, and you can see this is the home screen with the pre-installed apps. And so we have Google Apps pre-installed, we have some Microsoft apps pre-installed, and then in here we have Facebook, and I showed this on the other videos. You cannot uninstall it, but you can disable it. And here's your typical Samsung apps and things like that. So this is everything that's pre-installed. I didn't install any of these apps, and that's okay. I think a lot of these apps are very useful. Of course, you can delete most of them. Now, as far as the camera, this should be pretty interesting because this has dual pixel autofocus, like I said. Unlike the Ultra this year, you get dual pixel autofocus, which is very accurate usually and works pretty well. Let's hit allow, and works pretty well compared to probably the Ultra phone, since that had some issues and Samsung's promising a software update to fix it. So in the camera, we can do ultra wide here, we can zoom in, and we can zoom into 30x. And so that's a slightly zoomed photo, but not a lot, and it's actually pretty sharp. So let's take a look at the options that we have. So we'll go into video. So here's the options that we have. You have the scene optimizer, so it'll take a photo based off what it thinks is best. You can turn that on or off. And then you have your rear video up to 8K, which is really impressive. And then right here, we'll set it up to 4K 60 for default. And then the front-facing camera, again, 4K 60 for default. And we'll go back here, and let's spin the camera around. And you can see it's locked onto my face. So let's go to video. And now I'm recording with the S20 5G. So hopefully this camera is really good. It seems to be locked on my face pretty well. And here's what the audio sounds like as well. And so in general, the cameras on the S20 are great cameras. Let's go ahead and take a look at one more thing, the actual display settings. Now in display here, we have motion smoothness, and we can turn it up to 120 Hertz. Now you can only use 120 Hertz or high resolution. So 120 Hertz at 1080p or close to 1080p, 2400 by 1080. If you want to switch from 1080 to WQHD+, you have to turn off the motion smoothing. So you lose that feature. So you either get higher resolution or faster refresh rates. So see, we can't go to the high refresh rate on the higher resolution. We have to first go back to full HD+, then go to motion smoothness, go back to high refresh rate, hit apply, and now we have super smooth refresh rates. So you'll see it's just buttery smooth scrolling through here. And hopefully you can see that with the 60 frames per second video. Now this phone is packed with options and may be a good fit for a lot of people that want a little bit smaller Samsung phone. The display is nice. It doesn't curve all the way over the edge this year, so you'll have less false presses on the display. And in general, this just looks like a really nice phone. Now, I'm sure you'll be able to find it on discounts a little bit later on, so you may want to wait a little bit if you're looking for that. But in general, it feels good in the hand. It is a little bit small to me, but I have huge hands, so this may be great for people that want a little bit smaller phone with all the top of the line specs. Now, if you have an S10 Plus or something along those lines, I'm not sure that I would upgrade from an S10 Plus to an S20 or S20 Plus. I don't know that it's worth it this year, but at least this one has dual pixel autofocus if the camera is your main focus. But let me know what you think about that in the comments below. If you'd like to hear anything more about this particular phone, let me know in the comments below, specifically if you haven't seen it anywhere else. Now, if you'd like to get your hands on this Samsung wallpaper, there are some others in here as well that are really nice, and I'll link to these in the description below so you can get your hands on these if you'd like to. But let me know your thoughts about the S20, S20 Plus, and S20 Ultra in the comments below. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.